My 10 amazing watches from £30 to £3,500. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. I love doing these episodes. I've got 10 of my own watches to show to you, tell you why I bought them, tell you why I love them, and also you'll get my wife's opinion on all of these watches. They range from £30 to £3,000, independent watchmakers to big companies, dive watches, chronographs, dress watches,
digital watches,
manual wind, automatic, quartz, and they're all watches I got this year, which is very embarrassing. But I do get given watches by companies to review, and a lot of the time I keep them instead of selling them on. I'm a bit of a hoarder like that. But anyway, sit back, relax, and let me show you a goddamn awesome collection. Are you watch collection ready? Let's go. And ladies and gentlemen, the big reveal. Look at these beauties. There are some absolute stunners here. So let's start with the first watch in the watch box. The Black Bay 58. Hands down the best dive watch I've ever had on my wrist, coupled with one of the best bezel actions you'll ever twist in your life. The dimensions of this watch are absolutely perfection for my wrist. The Black Bay 58 is a celebration of the last 5 decades of Rolex and Tudor. I'm actually an owner of the original 58 as well, but I've got to say, having owned this watch for about 3, 4, 5 months now, I think I'm starting to prefer the blue, or at least wear it more. That colour just detaches itself just that little bit more from Rolex. It's a colour that's synonymous to Tudor Submariners back in the 70s. The in-house movement is awesome. I'm a fan of faux rivets. I bought the watch on GShock, a fantastic website of all your great watch brands, and I still have not found a dive watch that beats this one. Alright, so here it is, my wife's first impressions of the Black Bay 58 Blue. Yeah, you've got 2 of these, haven't you? Bit of a waste. But I think it's quite nice. I'm not sure I like the hands. It's all right. Good start from the wife. Now the next one in the watch box is probably one of the highlights of 2023. This watch has certainly been very popular and is on pre-order at the minute, so they sell out very fast, and I am talking about the Momentum C Quartz 30. Now back in the 70s and 80s there was a brand called Chronosport, and the Chronosport C Quartz 30 was on the wrist of Magnum PI for the first 3 seasons of Magnum. That watch was one of the first quartz divers, released in 1977, but one of the owners of Chronosport now owns another company called Momentum, who are Canadian based, and Simon has decided to bring back the C Quartz 30. The reason why I was so attracted to this watch to start with was the case. It reminded me a lot of my CWC RN divers, and for good reason, because it turns out that in the 70s Chronosport got their cases from the same company as CWC, so it makes sense. Now the company Momentum do manufacture their watches from China, but you still have that same case design, and it properly looks 70s, doesn't it? The watch came with a fantastic Jubilee stainless steel bracelet, but I have not been able to take this watch off the FKM rubber Tropic strap it also came with, which is how Magnum wore it, but it has become a watch I wear a lot, and I mean a lot. We've got a 120 click bezel with a very decent ratchet to it. That bezel has a sapphire insert and is loomed, and we also have a vintage rhodium style loom to the dial's indices, which gives it that vintage vibe. It's 42 millimeters in diameter, but it doesn't feel like it because we got a lug to lug of 47, and it's only 10.9 millimeters thick. The machine inside this is a Ronda 507, and with a screw down crown and screw down case back, which you can get engraved, mind you. This watch is 300 meters water resistant. Right now, if you pre-order this watch, you get a free Hawaiian t-shirt, just like Magnum. This is £266. Don't forget the import tax, but even under £400, I think this is a very good watch, and I can see this thing being around a long time. I'm excited with this release because it could mean that more Chrono Sports are rising from the dead, like Rambo's, and it digi beauty. Personally, I think Momentum have a huge future ahead of them. And if this watch is anything to go by, they're gonna absolutely smash it. So the wife's views, here we go. Yeah, it looks very 70s. I don't dislike it. The dial is a bit busy, but it's okay. I'd say that's 2 out of 2 already. Next up is a watch I have been wearing a lot also, especially for work, and it is my Casio AE1200. A few weeks ago I did a show on this watch calling it the best value for money Casio you could have. 10-year battery life, 100 meters water resistant, world time, 5 alarms, stopwatch, countdown timer. Most Casios with a stainless steel bracelet have that polishy chrome look to them, but the AE1200 has a more matte finish to it. It is plastic resin, but it matches the bracelet more. For anyone in the market for a good beater, the Casio Royale is the best budget banger you can get. The wife's views? Oh, why have you shown me this? I've seen it before. It's got too many windows. It's ugly. Take it away. She does love a digital watch.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
The next one I was very surprised about. I'm not a dress watch guy, and to fall in love with a dress watch takes a lot of doing. And I give you the Baltic MR01, another very popular and sought after watch from an independent brand, taking inspiration from the Patek Philippe's of the 1930s, but giving us a fantastic, awesome 36mm package with a display case back that is quite impressive. I have never seen a movement below £500 that has this much decoration done to it, and you've got to give Baltic credit. And in 2022 this watch was touted as one of the best releases of the year. Well, in 2023 it's still hard to get hold of. The watch came with a beautiful thin calf leather strap. The only thing is it's quite twangy because of this movement inside, that little micro rotor going round, but I think it's an absolutely gorgeous watch. And now the wife's views. Yeah, this one's okay. It's a bit blingy and the circle in the dial is not in the right place, but I do quite like it. 3 out of 4, we are going good guns today. Super! The next watch is from a company I absolutely love, and we are talking about the CASOP watch company, otherwise known as CWC. Now, I've got 2 beautiful divers in the RN 1980 and the SBS Royal Navy diver. I've also got the G10, the field watch. I needed a chronograph. And ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the Falcon. This watch has been inspired by issued chronographs to the Royal Air Force back in the 90s and the early 2000s. CWC have all their watches manufactured in Switzerland, and they are incredible tall timepieces. I honestly don't get more excited opening a watch box than if it's a CWC watch. I'm a big lover of military watches, watches that have been put on this planet to do a job and do it well. Now, CWC watches tend to have fixed spring bars because that's the military specifications, meaning you can only really wear these with NATO straps, and that gives a very workmanlike, ready for action kind of look. Even though on the face of it this is quite a simple design, it being completely Swiss made means there has been no stones left unturned, from the machining of the case to the Ronda quartz that's inside. I think this is a fantastic watch, and if you are into your military style watches, please take a look at CWC, because they actually still issue watches to the military, and they've been doing so since 1972. The wife's views? Yes, I like this. It's a little bit busy and the case is a little bit weird. It's fat on one side, but I like it. Get in. Right, time for a Seiko. And for me, this is probably the best release from Seiko in 2023. It's the 55th anniversary of the Seiko 5 Sports. Why is it, you ask? Because they haven't used an SKX case. It's a newly made design, seeing as though the ones it's copied they don't make anymore and haven't made for well over 30-40 years. But it just looks cool, doesn't it? I can even forgive the frictionless bezel.
Because the friction's quite good.
From the case shape to how it sits on your wrist. I love the stainless steel bracelet that is exclusive to this watch. And I love it when Seiko celebrates a birthday or two. Plus, unlike most of Seiko's limited editions, this didn't cost an arm and a leg. Yes, it does have quite a simple 4R35 automatic movement inside. But like I said, this watch is new. They haven't been lazy and taken other parts off the shelf to make this watch. Other than the Willard SPB 153, those are the two Seikos I've been wearing the most. But that's a good two-watch collection in itself, isn't it? Here it is, my wife's thoughts. Yeah, I quite like this. It reminds me of a jacuzzi. I like the case and how the strap goes into the case. Good. Are we on fire or what? Now comes a very special watch, and it has become my favourite watch I own. Honestly. Now, a few weeks ago, I was very fortunate enough to go visit Don Cochran, owner of Vertex watches, in the new boutique at Mayfair, London. Vertex are one of, if not my favourite brand of all time. They were founded in 1916 by Don's great-grandfather, Claude Lyons. Over the years, they made watch after watch, over 200 different designs. Vertex were actually one of the brands fortunate enough to be one of the Dirty Dozen. Yes, 12 brands were chosen by the Ministry of Defence to make watches for the British Armed Forces. And Vertex, even though the watches were Swiss made, they were assembled in Britain, the company was British, and they were the only British company out of the 12. Also, something we need to keep between ourselves. The other companies, including the big ones, were making watches for the other side as well. Not Vertex. Those companies like you to forget about that. But Don brought back Vertex in 2015 with the M100, which was, before this one, my favourite watch. With him being a blood relation of the founder of this company, he has taken every feature and every element to see if they can make it the best it can be made. Vertex watches are made in the same factories as the very big brands you know of. But I can't tell you them. Anyway, sorry, you've waited long enough. I give you the MP45 Heritage Mono Pusher. Never in my wildest dreams did I think my favourite watch would be a chronograph, but this Heritage limited edition, limited to only 25 pieces, has a rhodium style dial to it. This watch was actually commissioned for the British military in 1945 to help with bomb disposal teams. Now, seeing that in 1945 World War II had ended, the watch was never made. But Don brought it back, and I'm so glad he did. Inside, we've got an SW510 mono pusher movement from Sellita. Look at the decoration. Like I said, Vertex don't do things by halves. This is a 40mm case, 100 meters of water resistance. We've got sapphire on the front and the back of the watch. Vertex watches are special, and that takes my collection now to 3, and no doubt in the future there'll be more. Here it is, my wife's thoughts on my favourite watch of all time. Yeah, it's a bit fat on one side, isn't it? It is Vertex, and I do love Vertex. The M100 is her favourite watch. This isn't my favourite one of Vertex, but it is still brilliant. Yes! Another fantastic independent watch brand. A few weeks ago, I did a review on the DB80, a watch inspired by the Dam Busters from World War II. Zero West are British watchmakers who are also engineers and just make amazing watches. Look at this watch, 41mm in diameter, and the dial was inspired by the altimeter in the cockpit of a Lancaster bomber. If you flip the watch around though, is a little piece of one of the 19 Lancaster bombers that flew in the Dam Buster raid. Now, to not only own a fantastically engineered British watch, but to also own an actual piece of military history, I think is absolutely sensational. Every release they do is meticulous in its design, with a watch unique only to Zero West. This watch is a win-win. Now, the wife's views on the DB80. Yeah, I quite like this. The case has nice shapes around it. The button on the side looks like a drain pipe. The whole watch looks like a speedometer, but I do like it.
Smashed it again.
Next up, a watch I reviewed not long ago as well. This is a limited edition to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Seagull 1963. Red Star watches have come up with a beautiful bronze case. Not only that, but they changed the dial color and the indices a little bit. Bronze will patina and change in its environment. I'm already a huge fan of the Seagull 1963 with that ST19 movement inside, the column wheel chronograph, one of the best watches for anyone starting this hobby. Even though it's a Chinese made watch, the movement and the machinery that makes the movement is Swiss. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. You should watch the show for that. I will just say though, if you want to buy a Swiss watch with a column wheel chronograph like this, you are going to have to pay around £1,000, £1,500 to even £2,000. But this is a truly great 38mm chronograph watch, and to have it in bronze, I think it's special. And now the wife's thoughts. Yeah, I like this. Ooh, it's really warm. Getting a lot of warmth from it. I really like the dial. It's unusual, but I like it. I think me and my wife's tastes are slowly coming together. And now we come to the final watch of the 10, a watch I did not buy brand new. I bought it off Paul Thorpe. Yeah, he was selling this watch and I thought, well, I've got the silver one of this, why not have the gold one? And I am talking about the GMW B5000. These G-Shocks are what I call paradox G-Shocks. Because they are in stainless steel and not in resin, the buffs at Casio took a year to try and find ways for the stainless steel structure to still absorb the same amount of shocks as a resin case, including little chambers in the case which distributed the shocks. But because it's so nice and shiny, we'll never know how good it is at taking a shock because I'll never use it in a dangerously shocking area. Paradox G-Shock. I'm a big lover of the original square that came out in 1983. This watch celebrated the 35th anniversary, which was 5 years ago. They were well over £500. You can buy these for about $350 now, and I just love having the set, you know. The modules inside these are top grade with multi-band 6, atomic clock, a very refined beep. I do love the chunkiness of the bracelet, and I wear it as much as I can whenever the wife lets me. Are you ready? Here it is, my wife's thoughts on the gold G-Shock Square. This is disgusting and the worst watch you've ever showed me. I hate how blingy it is, and it's a digital watch. It is disgusting. Take it away. This is definitely her least favourite watch of all time, and I guess as we've had so many positive reviews from her on this show on the watches, we were bound to have a bad one, but woof, this is a big one. So there you go, 10 amazing watches, and I've got to admit, if I only had 10, this wouldn't be a bad choice, would it? Every scenario in life can be looked after with these watches. The big question is, will all these be here next year? Who knows, but right now I love them, and I try to wear them as much as I can. What's your favourite one of the 10? What's your least favourite one of the 10? Is there a watch that could improve those 10? If you've watched till the end, you are a star. Thank you so much. And if I got you for a few more minutes, check out this bad boy. Oh, it's another collection show. There's some more watches. Yeah, I've really got to sell some because it's embarrassing, but watch it. It's great. Click it. Go on. Click it. Click it.